My bike has been having a very erratic idle and making strange noises, and I can't get the idle right. Every time I adjust the idle, all of a sudden it goes up like crazy. So it has the symptoms of a vacuum leak, but so far I haven't been able to find the vacuum leak. I'm going to start up the bike and hopefully it'll do it so you can hear what it's doing. Pretty scary. I wasn't even on the throttle at all, and as soon as I turned it on, the wheel was spinning really fast. That's because the last time it was on, it started to stall, so the only way I could keep it from stalling was to turn the idle screw way up. But then when you do that, it seems to idle okay for a while. Then, like what just happened, as soon as you turn it on again the next time, the idle's way up there. I saw in another video that there was a little spacer that was broken inside of the intake manifold, so I'm going to take my intake manifold off and take a look. It's been about 4 years since I changed it. And there's no other obvious sign of vacuum leaks anywhere. These hoses are fairly new. I just changed them not too long ago. There's another video on my channel where I show you how to change these hoses, so they're not that old. And I'm looking at them. You don't see any leaks. They're attached good to the intake manifold here. They're attached good here in the carburetor. Remove the throttle cable, get it out of the way. Now you can pull the carburetor out to look inside the intake manifold. Doesn't look too bad in there. Oh, you know what, guys? Look at this. Let me pop this spacer thing out of here. This I've never changed. It's been in here since I got the bike new, and the bike is a 2012. Oh, it looks like I just broke a... Yep, there was a gasket in there too. See that gasket? Look at it, it's just dissolved. Oh, look at this, guys. See that? It's cracked. Look at that. Bam. Besides that right there, when I was first looking at it, you can see all the cracks in it. This thing's shot. So basically what you have is, I can't turn the intake manifold over because I'll spill the gas out of the carburetor bowl, but there's a little rubber ring in here that smashes onto here and forms a seal. And then you got the gasket here, which is completely shot just from heat, from the engine heat. First thing we have to do is, right there, remove that part of the old gasket that is sticking. Put something inside of the intake hole so that nothing will fall in there while you're doing this. Get a razor knife and very carefully start to pull off the old gasket, whatever's remaining. And try your best not to scratch the surface here. I poured some isopropyl alcohol on it to help to soften it up, because it's sticking on there really good. It was a nightmare to get that gasket off. Some of it is still around the stud here. Just gonna have to leave it. Be very careful, pretty much right around where the circle is. You don't want to scratch because that's where it seals. Make sure the intake valve is closed before you do this, because as you can see, the alcohol is trapped in there around the intake valve. If the intake valve is open, when you take the manifold off, go ahead and just turn the engine if you have to get it to close. Because you don't want to pour all that alcohol inside the cylinder. I'm going to try some toilet paper. Yep, that worked better. Got some of it out. And also, when you take the intake manifold off inside these holes here, the stupid aluminum will actually chip off because of the threads on the bolts here, and it can fall in there and get around the intake valve. You want to make sure that if there's any in there, you get them out. You can stick a vacuum on here if you have to. That's pretty much all of the alcohol. Some of that old gasket is still here around the bolt, but that should be okay. When I tighten it down, it should still be able to get a seal. I can see some of those aluminum shavings in here. I'm going to try to get them out with this toilet paper. Try to get them to get stuck in the paper. Oh. Paper's pretty dirty, so it got something out of there. This part here on the intake manifold has this rubber ring. I ordered a new one, but they sent me the wrong one. It won't fit. But I do have two of these gaskets, so I'm going to try that because that's all I can do at this point. The only problem is if I take this ring out here, then there's going to be a hole here where it goes in, so I'm going to have to leave it there and put the gasket over it like this. It matches up pretty good here. These studs must have just shifted from engine heat over the years. It's going to be a pain in the butt to get this gasket on here. Put a nut on the top of the stud. Try to get a hammer in here, and you have to lightly tap it this way to try to straighten it out a little bit so that the gasket will fit on there. Take it off and see if it'll work. If not, then we can try to straighten out the other one. Actually, I think I can see it. This one's bent a little bit. Put the nut on the other stud. Give it some taps. Don't do it too hard because you don't want to bend it a lot, just slightly. Once you get the gasket to finally fit on there, then first put the gasket. Second, put the spacer. Make sure it's clean and dry. Now you would just normally put the intake manifold on, but since I don't have that ring to replace it with, and the ring's old and smashed up, I'm going to put this gasket as well, and hopefully it will be enough to form a seal so the engine will work properly. Now take the carburetor, line it up with the studs, carefully slide it down. Try to slide it down slowly like this, so that way you'll minimize any of those aluminum flakes from going inside around the intake valve. Wiggle it like this to get it to go down. Install the two nuts. Do it slowly so you don't lose them, because you don't want to drop them. Get them snug, but not too tight, because the spacer is plastic, some kind of plastic. You don't want to crack it. Tighten down these two nuts incrementally. So first, get them snug. That's not snug, it's just, for some reason, it's just being a pain and it's hung up right there. It can still be screwed down a lot more. For some reason that stud is bent. Okay, about there. When you get it about hand tight, well, I got the wrench, but you'll feel it when it starts to get tight. Okay, I think we're there now. So now you're just going to alternate. Tighten this one a little bit. Come over here. Just keep doing this until they're both snug. Reattach the air intake hose. After you get everything reinstalled, you have to start up the bike and check it, make sure it sounds okay, that what it was doing before is stopped, and it should have stopped because you fixed the vacuum leak that was in there from the broken spacer. And you'll have to retune the carburetor as well. Snug up the hose clamp on the air intake hose. Reattach the throttle cable. check it, make sure it's working. Tighten up the nut that holds it on. Let's see if the bike will start up. At about 2,500 RPM right now. Now it's up to about 3,000 RPM. The choke is working. The bike is running a lot better, but it's still acting up a little bit. The idle will not stay steady, and at times will go up too high, and then the rear wheel starts to spin. So it seems like there's still a little vacuum leak somewhere. I have no idea where. If anybody watching has any idea where I should check for a tiny little vacuum leak, I know it's not the vacuum lines. I already checked the vacuum hoses. But if you have any other ideas, just post a comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell.